Coalition of Civil Society Organization appeals for calm in Ondo State as the governor is yet to resume. As Hamilton sets in, correspondent takes a look at the effect of the changing weather. These and more on Panorama today, reaching you live from Abuja. I'm Elizabeth Omori. We'll be right back. We begin with environment matters. Issues of open defecation in Nigeria will no longer be business as usual as the federal government deploys its entire regulatory framework to ensure adequate enforcement of sanitation laws in the country. Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Utsev, and his counterpart in the Ministry of Environment, Balarabe Lawal Abbas, gave the hint as Nigeria commences activities to commemorate the 2023 World Toilet Day. Olusheye Adiagbo reports.
A report of the Federal Ministry of Water Resources indicates that more than 100 million persons in Nigeria lack access to basic sanitation. This is just as an estimated 48 million of the country's population still practice open defecation. These experts in sanitation crisis management are demanding stronger commitment to accelerate the expected changes, implementation of policies to increase access to sanitation, and realize the 2025 open defecation targets.
It's noteworthy that 105 local governments and over 40,000 communities have achieved the open defecation-free status. Despite this encouraging development, we need to do more.
We need to engage and try to empower these officers across all levels of government to do their job properly.
The 2023 World Toilet Day is themed Accelerating Change, and the 19th day of November every year has been set aside to increase awareness on the need for all human beings to have access to sanitation. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
Hamilton is characterized by cold, dry and hazy weather conditions with fluctuating temperatures as low as 9 degrees Celsius all day and sometimes can soar as high as 30 degrees Celsius in the afternoon. In this report, Aliyu Kabir takes a look at the effect of the weather and the possible low visibility, particularly as it may affect flight schedules in the country.
Like many other West African countries, Harmattan is also observed in Nigeria, particularly in northern states between the month of November to the middle of March. The Harmattan haze can severely limit visibility and can cause cancellation and the diversion of flights. According to the prediction of the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, the dust haze weather condition is observed in northern states of Kano, Katsina, Yobe and Jigawa, among others.
The wind propagation indicates that this dust will traverse, to move over the northern part of the country, including the Abuja. It also comes with nighttime cold.
The agency also envisaged the condition in other northern states, north central and southern region of the country to be moderate. The question is, does this weather likely going to affect the flight?
It's going to affect flights, even with the instrument landing system, yes. But some stations, like some airports, when the visibility is so poor, below the minima, of course, they will definitely close the airspace.
Some of the passengers also shared their experiences.
On our way coming, there's no problem. The weather was cleared from Lagos to Abuja. Everything, we landed well.
Other effects include the humidity drops to as low as 15%, which can result in nosebleeds, dryness of the skin, and also has an effect to respiratory system, including aggravation of asthma. NIMET further advised that individuals with respiratory ailments are to take protection, which include wearing of warm clothing. Airline operators are also advised to avail themselves to periodic weather reports from NIMED for effective planning in their operations. In Abuja, Aliu Kabir.
Now you know what to do this season. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, says the federal government is evolving measures towards restructuring the nation's health sector. The minister stated this at the 64th Regular National Council on Health held in Ado-Ekiti. Tayosho reports.
It was a convergence of the key players in the health sector from the 36 states of the Federation, the Federal Capital Territory and international partners in health policy development for the 64th National Council on Health, with the theme Building a Resilient and Inclusive Healthcare System for a Healthy Nigeria, achieving the renewed hope agenda of President Tinubu in providing qualitative health for all. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare says the federal government is passionate about the health of the people, which is their fundamental human right.
It is a promise that we have made to ensure that quality healthcare is accessible to all Nigerians, regardless of their socio-economic status.
State governments are called upon to respond more to this ambitious drive that we have laid out for ourselves.
The state governor, Biodun Oyebanji, acknowledged the impact of the National Council on Health and underscores the importance of collective commitment to delivering a healthcare system that is robust, resilient, inclusive, accessible, and affordable.
The overarching theme underscores our collective commitments to delivering a healthcare system that is robust, resilient, and inclusive.
To the World Bank Country Director in Nigeria, Chubam Chaduri, there is need for collective efforts towards achieving concrete rapid progress to raise the bar in the nation's health sector. There were goodwill messages from stakeholders and development partners in the nation's health sector. In Ado-Ekiti, Tayo Osho, NTA News.
Away from health, experts in international law and treaties have charged key stakeholders in international relations and implementation of relevant treaties entered into by Nigeria on the global scene to develop the economy. This was the unanimous submission by speakers at a hybrid seminar organized by the Nigeria Institute of Advanced Legal Studies in Abuja. Judiciary correspondent Austin Aebe reports.
The theme of the seminar is Treaty Law and State Practice in a Creative Digital Green and Blue Nigeria Economy, Implications for Policy Decisions on Infrastructure and Sustainable Development, Trade, Investment, Industrialization, and Foreign Affairs. Speakers believe that Nigeria has in several past decades entered into several treaties which, if reviewed by the present government, stands to benefit the country.
95% of all the multilateral treaties Nigeria actually has signed and ratified, meaning legally binding on Nigeria, have not been domesticated, which means we need a dialogue between the executive and the legislature, to prioritize which of these multilateral treaties is binding on Nigeria in the areas of trade, investment, intellectual property rights, human rights, humanitarian law, peace and security.
Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, represented by the Solicitor General of the Federation, Beatrice Jedi Agba, agreed with speakers that under the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, every treaty entered into by Nigeria shall be explored for the advancement of the country.
In an era of globalization and interest-based interrelationships, understanding the intricate web of treaties and their impact on policy making becomes vital for effective governance and decision making.
To help refresh the minds of those saddled with implementation of treaties, the Institute unveiled volumes of publications of treaties entered into by Nigeria. In Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
The Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, has assured communities hosting mining companies of fair deal in terms of development. The minister gave the assurance at the unveiling of the revised guidelines for the production of community development agreements in the solid minerals sector in Abuja. The guidelines are developed by the ministry and the African Center for Leadership and Development.
Nigeria if we sanitize the environment of our mineral sector operation and ensure that the operators get maximum profit while the host communities also derive beneficiation that normally should go to them. And then government, the various levels of government, we have state, we have local, we have federal, and all normal taxes are paid. So at the end of the day, it behoves on all of us to ensure that we play our own part. We as the regulators will ensure enforcement of all these guidelines. But the host communities must also ensure a free and unfettered environment for smooth operations.
Leadership in Africa. And the second, lack of strategy. And the third, inappropriate development approach. And you agree with me that the whole of Africa, we are blessed with enormous human and material resources. But all of these have not translated to development because of those three issues that we have identified as a center.
Away from mining, advocacy for inclusivity for persons with disabilities from various disability clusters has been loud in recent times. These efforts have gained positive feedback as the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation flags of various empowerment programs for persons with disabilities in Abuja. Gufan Shaji Ngwai reports.
With the arrival of the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Betta Idu, the ambience in this hall reflects excitement as she flags off the empowerment program for persons with disabilities. It is the first phase of the Renewed Hope initiative for persons with disabilities, which features distribution of 150 POS machines and the sum of 100,000 naira each as operating capital for the beneficiaries. The phase also includes 130,000 naira scholarship intervention for persons with disabilities in tertiary institutions and 20 million naira annual grant to associations of persons with disabilities in Nigeria.
I'm so happy now I have my own POS and I'm grateful for this opportunity.
The minister says government has also approved 10% disability inclusion in all programs and projects of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, which shall be implemented through the Commission.
All of this are under our mandate and is under the Renewed Hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to ensure that no one is left behind. Inclusivity is the key word, and these are people with special abilities to turn the lots of Nigeria around for the better.
Persons with disabilities don't want handouts, they want inclusion.
Through empowerment and employment of persons with disability.
I want to use this opportunity to thank His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for additional appointment for persons with disabilities.
Beneficiaries were encouraged to use this opportunity to make a difference in their lives. In Abuja, Gufan Shaji Ugwanye, NTA News.
And it's now time for us to head to the Court of Appeal, where our judiciary correspondent, Dele Atumbi, is standing by to brief us on the verdict of the court on the Kano governorship election. Dele, thank you for joining us, and could you give us a brief?
Thank you, Lizzie. As at the time of this report, the Court of Appeal has decided the appeal of the Kano State Governor, and the court dismissed the appeal for lacking in merit. One of the things that the court adjudicated on has to do with membership of the political party, which has to do with Section 177, subsection C of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The court decided that as at the time of the conduct of the election, that the NNPP had no candidate as at that time, because the governor of the state was not a member of that political party. And that was the decision of the court. With this, the court upheld the decision of the Kano State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal and decided that the decision of that court or tribunal was right and was right at this point in time. People have been jubilating here with this. It is not over, but one thing is sure, that this matter will still get to the Supreme Court. But a decision has been taken by the Court of Appeal, and this court is functions officials as at this time. This matter cannot come before this court again. This court has decided that anything to be done now is to go to the Supreme Court to adjudicate over the matter. But as at now, the tribunal has upheld the election of Gawuna as the governor of Kano State and has been upheld by the Court of Appeal. It is now for whosoever that's aggrieved to go to the Supreme Court for the matter to be decided. For now, Court of Appeal is functional officials on this matter and it cannot adjudicate over it again.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you. You're still watching Panorama. Time to take a breather. More reports ahead. To stay with us. You're still watching Panorama on NTA. Coalition of Civil Society Organizations of Nigeria appeals to Ondo stakeholders to swiftly intervene in the political situation in the state and ensure temporary transfer of power to the Deputy Governor pending the full recovery of Governor Rotimi Akeredolu. The coalition was speaking against actions of some forces which have allegedly caused a vacuum in the state apex office. Abubakar Kwanga reports.
The coalition of civil society organizations says Governor Rotimi Akeredolu's absence should not be allowed to disrupt businesses of government and made a passionate appeal for the Deputy Governor to be temporarily transferred power on acting capacity in line with provisions of the Constitution.
The intent of the framers of our Constitution in Section 189, 190, and 191 is to avoid any kind of vacuum, which is invariably affecting the entire citizens of Ondo State. And that is why we are acting as a voice of other citizens.
Meanwhile, a new APC group tagged Consolidated APC Grassroots Movement has been unveiled. The group is to hit the ground running ahead of the next phase of presidential election come 2027.
On behalf of the great men and women of Restructuring Committee, welcome you all to a new dawn in grassroots mobilization. Welcome to Consolidated APC Grassroots Movement, CAGRAM.
Consolidated APC Grassroots Movement says it is determined to ensure that the movement remains strategic in mobilizing grassroots support beyond 2031. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
Talking education, in no distant time, secondary schools in the country will receive the desired attention and improvement both in quality assurance and infrastructure. This assurance is coming from the Executive Secretary, National Secondary Schools Education Commission, Dr. Elaya Ajayi, who at a media briefing spoke on efforts by the present leadership to turn around the sector since assumption of office 4 months ago. He said some of the ongoing efforts include the development of a roadmap on revitalizing the sector, advocacy visits to states who control over 80% of secondary schools to have their buy-in to establish boards of secondary schools, and audit of both public and private secondary schools, and enrollment have been carried out.
Regulate all activities of senior secondary schools in Nigeria. There is always a wide gap between what is stated in paper and implementation. As far as I remain the Executive Secretary, implementation will not be the problem. Like I told members of my staff, I'm not just here to warm my seat. Every month, I expect them to submit to my office what they have been able to achieve that month and what they plan to do in the following month. That is exactly what Mr. President is asking every one of us to do right now.
Currently, Ministry of Education is working on remitting 2% of the nation's consolidated revenue for the Commission to function optimally. Meanwhile, St. Teresa College in Nsukka Southeast has emerged winner of the 2023 NILS National Secondary Schools Quiz Competition on Legislature and Democracy that came to a climax with a grand finale at the National Assembly. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports that leadership of the 10th Assembly pledged to sustain the competition for developing young talents.
It was quite a keenly contest among participating schools from 6 geopolitical zones of the country at the grand finale. The competition, which is the 8th, was designed to inculcate on the students the requisite knowledge of legislative process and procedure, as well as democratic governance generally.
Begin to imbibe the right virtues, listen to your teachers, listen to your parents, and you will never go wrong.
I therefore wish to assure you all that the leadership of the 10th National Assembly will ensure that these laudable initiatives of the brainchild of NIL is sustained.
Both private and public schools are represented in this quiz competition. This is a reflection of the commitment of the 10th National Assembly to prioritize education for all in line with the 8-point agenda of Mr. President.
6 schools slug it out at the grand finale, having made it from their respective zones.
Why do some states have more members than others in the House of Representatives? A, population. C, choice of the people.
Population.
Is that because you're sure or you're just guessing?
Pretty sure.
You're absolutely sure. And I like your confidence because you are correct. Congratulations, that is the correct answer.
St. Teresa from Nsukka clinched the first position, followed by Greater Tomorrow Ondo and School for the Gifted Gwagwalada FCT, who went home with 2nd and 3rd positions in that order. The National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies has pledged to sponsor the winning team for their final examinations and tertiary level education. From the National Assembly, Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
And for stories trending in the world of sports, let's join Olumide Ewontola.
Analysts are still reacting to the 1-1 draw scoreline between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and their counterpart from Lesotho. As the Eagles began their 2026 World Cup qualifiers on a shaky note, they urge handlers of the Nigerian football and the team managers to reappraise the team for better performance.
It's just a disgrace that we had to manage to get a draw against Lesotho that is ranked 153rd in the world. Come on, we are more than this.
So expectations, we just have to lower it. You accept something else, something drastic is done.
I believe that learning from this game, Nigeria will still come out better and brighter in the game.
Nigeria is now 2nd on the log in Group C with 1 point. The team's next match is against Zimbabwe on Sunday. Still on football matters, preparations are in top gear for the 10th Nigeria Pitch Awards 2024. The organizers in Lagos said the awards, which is supported by the Nigerian Football Federation, will once again celebrate and honor excellence in the game of football in Nigeria.
We have all it takes to rule the world as far as football is concerned. So Nigerian Pitch Awards as a platform simply want to first discuss the way forward.
In surfing, the good times are here as the Nigerian Surfing Federation galvanizes efforts to popularize the sport amongst Nigerian athletes and spread their tentacles to other parts of the country. This is part of the motive behind the working visit of Umar Sey, the President, African Surfing Confederation, to Nigeria.
Now it's time for Africa. The surf it gives a lot of opportunity for the African surfing development.
We see the sport of surfing as a touristic adventure, and we take most of our youths off the streets.
His interactive session with officials of the Nigeria Olympic Committee (NOC) confirmed that Nigeria is set to host the rest of Africa. With sports update, Olumide Guntola, NTA News.
And sports update ends Panorama this afternoon. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Elizabeth Omori. Good afternoon.